What up, Bulls Nation? We've got a live CHGO Bulls podcast coming up for y'all right around the corner. On today's show, we are pleased to be joined by the one and only Chicago Bulls PA announcer, Tim Sinclair. We're going to get his thoughts on the Bulls season that just ended, their offseason ahead, and more next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck Bulls _Peck. That over there is Big Dave. Bow! BAWL Sports. Our queen of the controls is the one and only KW. What up, Katie?
Hi.
Hi. And second guest of the week, sitting in that middle chair, Chicago Bulls PA announcer for all those games at the Madhouse on Madison, plus also PA announcer for the Bears, the Fighting Illini, the Chicago Fire, the Chicago Union, shout out Ultimate Frisbee, and also NBA All-Star for a bunch of times.
Yes.
Plus NBA 2K.
Plus 2K.
The voice of everything sports. The one and only, our friend Tim Sinclair. Hey.
I'm great. I appreciate the invite.
Always nice when you swing through. We appreciate the time. The most recent thing on your to-do list was being the MC for the NBA Draft Lottery here in Chicago.
Yeah, that was they'd never done that before,
Yeah.
and so my goal was to ensure that they wanted to do it again and not completely eliminate it forever. And from what I've heard, there were positive responses to how that all went, and it was really just to fill the breaks.
Yeah,
right.
That when ESPN goes to break, everybody in the room is kind of like, all right, what do we do now?
Right.
And so I gave them something to do now.
We need a voice to retain people's attention. Tim Sinclair.
Tim Sinclair.
Right.
He's got it.
So
Tim, I have to tell you this story because I haven't told you this story.
okay.
This is when we were in London. Shout out. That's
Oh my
a flex.
God. Dude, Hogue just came up to us and was talking about that. I can't escape this.
I
wasn't there, by the way.
Sorry.
Big Dave abandoned me. I was here working while he was off gallivanting in London.
My first week at the company, and my best friend doesn't even show up.
But I'm glad you guys had such a fun time in London.
To be fair, at least I was working in London. I don't know about Dave. I can't speak
It was
for him.
work-ish.
Dave was working the crowd.
I was
Fair
working.
enough.
It was CHGO happening up in there, baby, for sure. But when we had the Bears party, that you invited me to, and I mean, look, it was packed. It was a line around the block. You told me it would be a line around the block, but it was a line literally around the block. So Tim was like, "No, don't worry about it. Just hit me up. I got you." So I get there. I'm just standing outside and everything, and I text him and I'm like, "Hey, I'm outside." He was like, "Okay, cool. I'm gonna send somebody, to come get you." And the guy comes out and he's like, "Who's Big Dave? Where's Big Dave?" And I was like, me. And then when all people saw was me being led into this place that all these people can't get into.
Right.
Next thing you hear is just all women like, "Okay, Big Dave. All right, Big Dave. All right." I get in, and of course I say what's up to Tim and everything. Those same women make their way towards me.
Of course.
You know what I mean? We started having a conversation, and I had a pretty awesome night. And I just want to say shout out to Tim.
You are welcome.
Big
Solid
Dave
facilitator. So
is
well
really
done.
good at playing the fake famous guy who's only like kind of regionally famous.
I'm not famous at all, at least in my head. I'm not.
I mean, people in Chicago in the sports world, they, lots of them know who you are. If we're walking through
That's
the
cool.
United Center concourse, people know Big Dave.
Sure. They'll stop me there. And that's always cool.
The only thing that matters, though, is that people think you might be
Bingo.
famous. The rest of it, like I live in that world sometimes,
Right.
and it's like if they think you might be, then it
was awesome.
It's
This
good.
is why,
Yeah.
we were just, before we went live, reminiscing about All-Star Weekend 2020 in Chicago. That's one of many examples of me just following Dave's coattails into various places, because Big Dave can get in anywhere. Because he has that confidence. Like, he just confidently walks wherever he wants to walk. And people are like, oh, he must be important.
We
and
all
he
are
is.
important.
Yeah.
We are all important. And he was very kind to my brother who was there also, man.
Yeah.
He loved talking to him. You know, he's a season ticket holder for the Bears, so he couldn't wait to meet you and talk to you, man. And you were very kind. But yeah, you was just always really accommodating to us out there, and I appreciate you for that.
My pleasure. Least I could do. Thanks.
Yeah, man.
So Tim, you didn't rig the lottery for us.
Yeah, Tim.
That's a real bummer.
Yeah,
I
now
did not.
let us be mad at you now. Tim.
Right. It's fair. I was the only one close enough to touch the envelopes once they had been delivered. But I figured a couple of things. One, it'd be really difficult to pull off. Two, I probably wouldn't get asked back again next year. And maybe the right thing was in them anyway.
Yes, but if you don't get asked back next year, who cares? Because we got Cooper Flag.
Exactly.
Right.
Can't you imagine
We're not
saying
in the
that?
lottery.
Exactly.
True.
Don't worry about
Fair.
that stuff, man. Semantics out here. But how was that when Dallas got walked away with the number 1 pick? Will told us his perspective about it, but what was yours when that happened?
Yeah, I was standing off to the side, and there was a gasp. And it wasn't just with Dallas. It was when the Final Four were revealed, because all of them were kind of surprises.
Yeah.
You know, Utah had the biggest odds, and Charlotte, neither one of them were in the top. So we had gone through rehearsals with a variety of different things that might happen. And so when those Final Four were revealed, there was just this audible like gasp and murmur in the room. And my job in that break was when they went to break between revealing 14 through 5 and then 4 through 1 was to interview a couple of the people on stage. And I love interviewing people, but the problem was until they were revealed, I wouldn't know who it was going to, even the potential people were.
Right.
And until I was walking on the stage, I didn't know who I was interviewing. They were telling me in my ear, okay, you're going to get Jared McCain and Mitch Johnson from the Spurs. So that just added a little fun wrinkle to my job of not knowing what I was going to have to do until right before I had to do it. But I don't know that anybody in that room heard a word that was said by any of us during that break, because there was just so much, oh my goodness, what just happened? Yeah. So once we got down to the Final Four, I just didn't want San Antonio to get it again.
Okay.
Like, I mean, Flag and Wemby is just not fair.
That would not have been fair.
Yeah.
And Dallas, like, we all know the coin flip story.
Yeah.
As Bulls fans, but it was noticeable in there. They said that was easily the most dramatic that anybody can remember at a draft lottery in quite a while.
Wow.
So
most drama.
Have you been watching a good amount of these NBA playoffs? And, you know, I know you were just saying you wish that you were still working.
I would love to still be
Bulls
working.
playoff games,
Not just because I'm a Bulls fan, but when you get paid by the game.
Yes.
But yeah, I've watched a fair amount of them, and like last night's game,
dude,
was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the only reason I didn't turn it off was because last week the Pacers did it twice.
They
And I was
did.
like,
it was
well,
their third insane, improbable comeback of their one playoff run. Like,
maybe it'll happen again.
Wait,
and sure enough.
Correct my memory if I'm mistaken. Didn't you used to do the Pacers job?
I did, yeah. I was with the
Right.
Pacers for a
So
couple
is,
years.
is there still a little piece of you that's like, come on, Pacers? Because Dave and I joke about, like, as Bulls fans who were young watching the dynasty of the 90s, like, Pacers and Knicks are both like,
right.
boo.
Yeah.
If I
But
have to
definitely
choose
Knicks.
between those two, I'm choosing the Pacers.
Yes.
Right.
And I would
I
too.
know
Yes.
a lot of people who still work in the organization, that kind of thing. Obviously, I called games there for a couple years. I don't have any allegiances beyond that.
Sure.
My parents live in Indianapolis, so they kind of root for them a little bit along with the Bulls. So, yeah, I guess if I have to choose, it's them. But I just want to see great games at this point.
Yeah.
Like, entertain me. If it's not going to be my fan team, then you know, at least make them good games.
That's awesome, man. Like, just watching that, though, like, just the excitement of it, of the series, you know, and then watching Halliburton do the choke and all that other stuff, man.
Epic.
Like, just really, that's the only word I have for it is epic. I saw a stat that said that since 1998 in the playoffs, teams that were up 9+ points going in towards the end of the game with a minute to go, 0 and 1,414.
And now it's one.
Now it's one. Now it's one, dog. No, it's absolutely crazy.
It's one of the reasons, though, I love the job I get to do is getting to watch history.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes it's good history, sometimes it's bad history, depending on what team you're a fan of. But I love going, I was there. And or I called. My voice is associated with such and such a moment. And so those things I think back to Justin Fields when he broke the single-game rushing record in the NFL for quarterbacks against the Dolphins. I was there, and I called that game. And again, that's a minuscule thing that will go down in history, but no one really cares. But it was fun to be a part of, and so I really enjoyed that aspect.
So a different version, because I've seen a lot of variations of that stat that you just said, Dave.
Yeah.
This one was from the Pacers official Twitter account last night. Since the 96-97 season, teams that trail by 7 or more in the final 50 seconds of the fourth and or OT in the playoffs are 4 wins, 1,702 losses. 3 of those 4 wins are the Pacers in this year's playoffs.
And I think the fourth is another Pacers team.
It could be.
Wow.
I mean, is that the Reggie Joe?
It might have been the Reggie. I think so.
It's probably the Reggie
they
Joe
were all
game.
Pacers wins, which is bizarre.
So what I was curious about, and Dave and I were joking about this at the office earlier today, that like all the videos that have gone around of Knicks fans initially reacting in celebration when the Halliburton shot bounces off the rim to then confusion and devastation.
Yeah.
From a PA's perspective, I was wondering, I wonder if Tim has ever like been calling a game where initially, and maybe it's NBA and a shot rim or a pass that goes to the end zone if you're doing football, where you like jump the gun on calling a play, a bucket made or a touchdown catch that actually the play ended up going differently?
It's a great question. That shot reminded me a little bit, although it was different, but the Kawhi shot. That hung on the rim.
From the corner.
It was very different, but it was that weight. Like, maybe it's going in, probably not going in, maybe it's going in. It did go in. To answer your question specifically, I don't think so. However, this year, it was against the Mavericks, ironically.
Okay.
There was a play where there was a shot from the wing by the Mavericks that was, to me, very clearly tipped in right above the hoop and should have been called goaltending. It wasn't. And so when I said, and I don't remember who it was who tipped it in, PJ Washington maybe.
Okay.
I called PJ Washington on the basket. Only time ever an official has run by and said, that wasn't PJ Washington.
He's looking on your
And I was like,
who you talking to, bro?
Now, I'm not going to say the name of the official.
Okay.
We are on a first name basis.
Okay.
But he came back during the break and said, yeah, that wasn't PJ Washington. And I said, he didn't tip that in? He's like, well, I was lead on the play, and I say he didn't. I gave him that.
Yeah. All right.
I said, you're sure about that? And he goes, yes. And he actually went so far as to make our official scores change who the basket was.
Really?
Well, the reason...
This sounds like Scott Foster.
It was not, it does, but it was not Scott Foster. The reason was, if we had given it to PJ Washington, it absolutely should have been goaltending. And he absolutely did touch it. The league calls us at halftime and makes us switch it back to PJ Washington.
Wow.
And so anyway, there's a lot of inside baseball there. But that's one of those things where you say something and then you're like, well, maybe I got that. Maybe I jumped the gun. Maybe I said the wrong thing. In this case, I happen to be right, but I'm sure there's time.
Did you give him a wink when he ran back by?
And so you pointed at him and said, I told you so.
Yeah, did you hit him with that?
Well, he saw the change in the scorebook at halftime and came out at the half and was like, who switched it back?
Yeah.
And we're like, New York. Not us. Not us.
I wanted you to say that part because these are two petty people right here.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So they need to hear that part, man. I was right.
The power trip of today's NBA officials. It sounds like you're friends with a handful of them. That's great. I as a fan, like NBA officials think they are way too important and always right about everything, which I can respect because I'm also always right about everything. But like, come on now. The last 2-minute report, who is that helping? Who is that helping?
It's more frustrating than anything, I feel like. But
But
they're trying to show they're transparent.
Yeah.
I understand the heart behind it, but I don't think the results are what maybe they're hoping they would be.
Probably not. We got to knock out our first couple ads. Hit the like button while we're sharing some words for our friends and sponsors. More with our pal Tim Sinclair on the other side. Hit the like.
Hit it. Rate.com. If you've ever tried to buy a home, get a loan, or just deal with money stuff in general, guess what? You know it could be a lot. That's why we got to tell you about the Rate app. And seriously, ladies and gentlemen, it is a game changer. you can get pre-approved for a mortgage in minutes without the need to jump through a million hoops. And Matt with the bad back doesn't want to jump through anything. So we ain't doing that. And if you're thinking about a home equity loan or a personal loan, you can secure one in under 15 days. That is awesome. The Rate app also helps you find the best homeowners and auto insurance based on what you actually need. That means you're saving money. That is great. And something that is unexpected, they've added over 800 free wellness videos, stuff like meditation, breathing exercises, stretching, basic tools that can help you feel mentally and physically better. So if you're stressed out about a loan or a mortgage or seriously just, life in general, just let the Rate app handle it. And once that's covered, you can hit one of those free wellness apps and chill the heck out. It's that one app that helps you with both your wallet, your well-being, your brain, and your mind too. Download the Rate app today to get started. You see it right there on your screen. Scan it, click it, open it. Be happy. Rate.com.
Today's show also brought to you by Empire. Floors, floors, floors.
No matter what.
No matter what. Just like your favorite team needs home court advantage.
Here it comes.
Your home needs home floor advantage.
Brilliance.
And Empire can help you get it. Empire today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring each and every single day. Flooring is all they do.
That's it.
We've all been to those big box stores from time to time. You wander through endless aisles, lost, looking for help. Somehow you're hauling the materials home, trying to do DIY installation and all that. You're not good enough at DIY projects. Let me pull up a YouTube video from some guy named Chuck, and maybe he can. No, you're not a professional. Empire has the professionals. Empire lives and breathes flooring, and they'll be able to help you every step of the way. It's a whole different ballgame. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your front door and then through your home, so you can see all their flooring options within your home, your decor, your paint colors, your lighting, your this, your that. Get precise measurements taken and have all your questions answered there, so there are no surprises.
Nice.
With Empire today, you get clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day.
That's awesome.
Get your chores done so you can go out and have some fun.
That's right.
Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better done at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details. 588-2300. Tim Sinclair, take us home.
Empire
Today.
Let's go.
Let's go. With the vocals. With the vocals.
As much as people enjoy the ad reads around here, I feel like we need to outsource some to you, Tim.
I'll take all the work I can get this time of year.
If bowl season is done, your fire games
Fire
started
season, yeah,
but,
a couple of months.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
what do they get? Like one home game a week, something like that.
At most, yeah, I mean, at most, yeah.
And Bears that are still far. You got time?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
We gotta have Tim knock out some
I'm in.
ads.
Seriously, man. We got to have this happen. We'll have you next time we having a Pop a Shot tournament. We'll have you in that way to call that. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Oh my God! Yes.
Yeah.
From what I've heard around here, guys are pretty good. I might get tired.
Oh, we'll go Gottlieb, man.
Yeah, Goats got the current record held right now in the triple digits.
Yeah.
Wow. I think 106.
106. He broke his own record of
Do you
105.
keep getting extra time the better you do? Is that
Correct.
how that works?
I think there are certain point thresholds where when you get to a certain point, they'll add another
add some
15
time.
seconds to the clock. And
This
10
is
seconds
correct.
to the clock.
As Katie says, this is now the only reason Goat shows up here. is to do the
Gotta
Pop
have something.
Yeah, gotta have something. Gotta have something, Tim.
Although, like, you say the name of the player after every bucket.
Yeah.
Home team, road team. So if you're talking about a Pop a Shot.
Will.
Go.
Hilarious. It would not at all get old.
No, not at all.
Oh my God, I would love every second of that, man. Oh, that would be the best.
Do you ever like practice, or did you get to a point where you decided this is because like obviously you throw a little mustard behind the PA announcer of a home team player making a bucket?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Well done.
Thank you. I just want to be Tim Sinclair someday, guys. If
Not a bad gig.
like as the PA announcer announcing made baskets for the road team, it's sort of just like do you say it as plainly as possible? Or like if it were me, I would like put some stank on it.
Yeah.
Instead of like Kevin Durant, I'd be like Kevin Durant. Like, oh God.
Everybody has a different philosophy in our industry about that, whether you are dismissive or almost unhearable, or I've always kind of taken the stance that I want to be informative.
Yeah.
That's it. Like for a visiting team, Kevin Durant or LeBron James.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to pretend like they've annoyed me.
Yeah.
I think the crowd feels that on their own. They know that.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to help them know who made it, and that's my role in that moment. There are people who think very differently than that, and that's okay. Who do it differently, who are dismissive, who are so quiet you can't hear them, or who only say the last name, like Durant.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, okay, that's fine. But that's just not my
Not
style.
how you roll.
Yeah.
What has been the hardest name for you to say? Like just in general, it could be NBA, Chicago Fire, whoever.
I
What's
saw
the
your tweet
hardest
about
one?
the Bears tight end draft pick.
Yeah.
Colston.
Yes.
And add that to the most recent list of names that Chicago sports fans pronounce
Mispronounced.
incorrectly.
I've heard Colson and Colton
Right.
a lot.
Yeah.
Neither one of those is correct. And I still hear people saying Ao, and it drives me up the freaking wall.
Man. Goodness. Come on, guys.
And quite honestly, a lot of people still mispronounce Vucevic.
Oh,
but
so yeah, some people say Voos.
Voos,
with a soft
lots
C or
of them.
S. I'm like,
Lots
no.
of them. Anyway, I would say, I mean, when I first got into the league to NBA, Giannis was the one that terrified me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I knew I was going to have to say it a lot. Most of the letters in there mean nothing. Or
Some of them are there for show.
right, or say
Show off letters. Yeah.
the opposite of what you think they would. So that one scared me a little bit. But you say Adetokounmpo, and all of a sudden, just don't look at it. You're fine.
Nice rhythm too.
The hardest one ever was a women's basketball player at the University of Illinois,
Okay.
also from Greece. First name, Anastasia, though she went by Nancy to save me a syllable or two, because her last name was Panagiotopoulou Andritopoulou.
Okay, that's like
Wait,
six names.
And now it was a
Wait.
hyphenated last name, of
Wait, my
which the
brain just fell
second
out.
part of the
Come back.
hyphen did not fit on the jersey.
I was going to say, it was a full circle of name around the number.
We called her Nancy Panagiotopoulou, which did almost a full circle, and the Andritopoulou just went away because there was no room for it and no time.
Oh, my God.
So that is easily the most syllables and longest name I've ever had to say regularly. Thankfully to me, she redshirted her first year and tore her ACL the second year. So I didn't have to say it. I had 2 years to practice. That's why I said thankfully to me.
I got
It was
you.
not
I got
great
you.
for her.
I got you.
But I had a while to practice before I had to say it live game.
He said she did what? Okay, good. All right, I got some time.
Another 12 months to practice.
Right, I got some time. All right, let's get it together. That is a long name, man.
So speaking of the funness of saying Io's name or other Bulls fans or other Bulls players' names when they make big buckets, you were there on the floor for the Giddey Miracle this season.
You were there.
I was.
Well,
yeah.
we got Adam Amin's perspective on it when he was here with us on Tuesday. What was that moment like for you? Craziest thing you've ever called live from a PA's chair? Or?
I'd have to think so in game. I've called some pretty big moments for the NBA, but those weren't in game.
Yeah.
So I would have to think it is, and it was one of those slow motion things, and I watched it so many times after the fact, and the camera angle is from the opposite side of the arena. So for me, that shot was moving left to right. For everybody watching it on TV, it was moving right to left.
Yes, correct.
And I watched it so many times on TV that when I was starting to then relive it in my head of what I had just seen, I was confused because I'm like, wait, I'm seeing this opposite, but it was one of those when you relive it, I'm trying to relive it how I saw it, not how the rest of the world saw it.
Right.
And I remember like when Josh comes out for warmups, Peter Patton has him doing this thing where he gets his hand really wide under the ball to shoot, and it's just wide base. And in slow motion, I see him pulling up what I think feels like about a second too early.
Yeah.
But as he's doing it, he's doing that thing where his hand cups underneath. And I remember thinking, he's shooting this exactly how he should be. It's like a regular jump shot for him. It just happens to be from behind half court.
Right.
And then it went in and bedlam in that place.
Yeah, what was that like the euphoria of that?
I remember a little bit of it. I had to get the audio from the Bulls. I'm like, I want to hear my call because I couldn't hear me say it.
Right.
And so I got to go back and hear that, which was fun.
Sure.
I do take a little pride in calling LeBron's worst loss ever.
Man.
And the one where he gave up the ball on a turnover, and then we hit that shot on his head. So, those two were kind of fun.
I mean, he did get cooked by J.J. Barea in the NBA Finals. So,
true. I was not there for that one.
That was
it's hard
good
to take the mantle for worst LeBron loss. But
when I say worst LeBron loss, I mean he lost by like 44 to the Pacers back when I was doing the Pacers games. And so
that's true.
That was in the middle when he was trying to get everybody traded.
Which time?
Yeah, I know, right? Seriously.
That time worked pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
I like you say, you say the Josh Giddey, and I rewatched it, earlier this week. You also had the PA's job of like after officials review the basket. But I think everybody in the building knew because you said it thought like Josh Giddey got the shot off too early, if anything.
Yep.
But he wanted to make sure he got a clean look when he had space around him.
Well, that's one of those things like when you have the microphone for the entire building. Yeah. Like I called it when it went in.
Yeah.
Place went crazy, but then I saw I think it was Zach Zarba and a couple of the other officials come up, and I knew they were checking it, and they have to do that on last second shots. But I didn't want to assume I had it right. Yeah. Give the final score. Right. Call that the Bulls had won, and then go, just kidding. Yeah. They lost.
It would have been like, people thought, including Halliburton, that he hit a three, right? A game-winning three instead, toes on the line. So
you get embarrassing stories or times you've screwed up, but that's not one that I would like to retell very often. Like if I had messed that up, that'd be bad news.
Because there were many points in that game where there was big moments that kind of led to that. So Patrick Williams hitting the three, the Kobe White
the steal.
hitting his three, and then even Austin Reeves, leading up and hitting that three. Like after it was over and Josh Giddey hits this incredible shot and you do it, like does it hit you then, what you just called, or is it something like you said, oh no, let me wait till I go back and see it and then you'll feel all the feels?
It's probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
There's certain things that I'm feeling in the moment and recalling like what just happened. But when you're I feel like working a game, I miss out on all the stats and the time because like Adam and Stacy get people in their ears saying, okay, they've scored how many points in the last 40 seconds or whatever, so they can relay that to the audience. Right. I'm not getting any of that. Yeah. And so I'm just watching the game cold. And so I kind of go back and start checking out X or Instagram or listen to the radio or you guys to learn parts about the game that I missed while I was calling it. Yeah. So that's part of how that goes is like I realized what it was, but until you start hearing there was X number of seconds left and they came this far back, and then you start to really realize the weight of it all. So
magnitude.
The other arguably most epic thing to happen at the Madhouse for the Bulls this season, aside from the Giddey buzzer beater, was Derrick Rose's retirement night. And you were there doing your job announcing Derrick as he emerged from the tunnel to begin those, halftime ceremonies. Yeah. As somebody who didn't join on to the Bulls PA gig until after he was traded away, what was that moment like for you, getting to introduce Derrick Rose like that?
Yeah, that, the impetus of the from Chicago and all that kind of stuff. We rehearsed the crap out of that. Like we did so many run-throughs. Yeah. And you're aware of what it's going to be, but until the lights are on, the building's full, you can feel the buzz. You don't feel the weight of it. And I'll admit, I was not at all happy with how I did, like how I performed in that moment. I just felt like, so when I did the from Chicago part and he went up on the board, you can't rehearse how loud that building gets.
20,000 can't rehearse that.
And so I have a headphone on this side so I can hear directors and people, but I have this one open so I can hear myself in the room. I like being able to. Well, when that happened, I said, from Chicago. Everybody went crazy. I had to put my other headphone on so I could just hear what was going on.
Right.
And I flipped the order of his height and his number.
Oh.
So if you go back and listen to it, I don't know why. Like, we'd rehearsed it a million times, and I give myself zero mistakes in whatever event I'm doing ever. And it was just such a powerful, loud experience that I was doing two things I wasn't expecting to have to do in that moment, and flip those numbers. And then there's a pause, and I said his name.
Meaning, you flipped the order in which you said them, or you said
didn't
like
say them
Derrick Rose,
wrong.
1 foot tall.
No.
Numbers.
Right. Yeah. That would have been worse. That would have been way worse. Thankfully, I did not say that. But I did say number one, I think, at 6 foot or something like that.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back to listen to it since.
Well,
I just
we
can't do
were
it.
in the building that night. We were up in the rafters in one of the suites. We did
Probably
our
couldn't
show
hear
there.
any of it from up there.
No. Just heard the noise.
Yep.
We got to knock out a couple more ads. When we come back, we will get some of our guy Tim Sinclair's thoughts on the upcoming NBA drafts and what the Bulls should do next. Hit that like button for Tim. Here's some ads.
DeMar DeRozan.
Today's show brought to you by Sunnyside. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to help elevate your summer. They are your one-stop shop for all of your cannabis needs, with an expertly curated menu featuring over 100 different strains to choose from, offering easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Get in, get out, get on with your day. It's a great system. I use it myself because they've got that Wrigleyville location. They've also got one in River North. They've got them throughout the suburbs. They've even got them down in Champaign, all the way up in South Beloit. They're everywhere. If you're a pro, they even have some recommendations for you, something you maybe have never tried before. Check out their Wellness Advisor Staff Picks collection. If you're brand new and just starting out in the cannabis world, don't worry. Their expert staff are there to guide you and help you make the right selections and purchases. Visit Sunnyside.shop for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Just enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Again, promo code HICHGO at checkout for new customers. For existing customers, use promo code CHGO50, that's CHGO50, to get 50% off one Cresco Labs brand item. They take care of their returning customers as well. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, Bright Buys every day, only for 21 and older, and Illinois Med card holders.
Oh, summer will be here before you know it, guys.
Oh,
the Burks will be out on
ready
that.
for it.
The Gams are going to be out straight up like that. It's about to be hot. So you want to make sure you're cool. You want to make sure you're comfortable. And Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric have got your back on that. They have been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years because right now is the time to get your air conditioning checked out. And Four Seasons experts are ready to help you with AC installation, maintenance, and repair. Now, 2024 was officially Chicago's hottest year on record. The heat index, are you ready for this? Reached over 114 degrees, Tim Sinclair.
Too hot.
That's hot. It's hot, too.
That's
That's
very
hot. It's a thing. And when it's hot and humid, you want to know that your home will be cool and comfortable. That's where Four Seasons expert technicians come in. They ensure you will always receive reliable service, and Four Seasons does not charge more for service during nights, weekends, and holidays. Celebrate. Schedule your Four Seasons AC tune-up today. Save $50 and enjoy a 1-year no breakdown guarantee. That is awesome. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. Because for all the right reasons, Pat!
Call 866-4 Seasons.
I like that. Well done.
Woo!
Like a Z on it.
That's right.
Well done.
I spell Seasons with a Z.
With a Z, he's cool.
Rolling along on CHGO Bulls.
With 2 C's.
Next segment is brought to you by our friends at Four Seasons. We call it Taking the Temp. Your trusted local experts at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. One of our regulars, Dysfunctional, in the chat just asked, I came in late. Did we talk about Kasparas Jakucionis yet? We did not.
Your time
You're right on time.
Brilliant.
Taking the temp. We talked about it a little bit before we sat down on set, Tim, when you arrived. What is your temp right now on the upcoming NBA draft class? We just had the combine here in Chicago last week, And as also the PA announcer for the Fighting Illini, you've gotten a good look at a couple of names that are projected to go first round. Maybe one of them is a target the Bulls are looking at 12. Mm-hmm. Let's start with Jakucionis because it was just brought up by our viewers. What did you see from him and his role as it progressed? He kind of had an up and down season.
Yeah, it was more up down.
Yeah.
It wasn't as much of a roller coaster. It started really, really strong and slowed down a little bit. I think teams, well, one, you get into the Big Ten schedule, which is a tougher part of your schedule, but also teams started to know that if you cut the head off the snake, like the rest of it doesn't work as well. And so they knew he was kind of that head. And so, man, the kid has an IQ that can't be taught. A little bit from a passing perspective, kind of like Giddey has, to some extent, like you see Luka does, where there's a guy open, and you know there's a guy open. You have no idea how they're going to get him the ball, and they know how they're going to get that guy the ball. They just have seen a couple plays in advance. They know what's going to happen and can figure out how to do that. So he has that part of his game, that IQ of distributing the basketball, making passes that not only other people can't make, but that a lot of other people can't see. He does have a good shot, although that did go up and down a little bit this year. And he's got a good frame. I think he's listed at 6'6", maybe 6'5", but he's close. As far as the Bulls taking him, I'd love to have another Illini on the team. I'm not going to lie about that. I feel like we've got a lot of guards.
We do.
But, I mean...
You can never have too many.
I mean, you might. But you got to have the right guards. And so if they think that he's one of the right ones, then that would be, again, I've loved having Io on the team. I've called 7 years straight of Io games. It feels like every single game I've done for the last 7 years, whether it's pro or college, has had him as a part of it. So I would love to have another. But I wish I saw them both at the draft lottery, Kasparas and Will. Wish them the best. And I look forward to having them at the United Center, either as members of the Bulls or opposing teams this coming year.
And that's the other guy. Let's get into Will Riley in his game, because there's Illini fans love this guy. Everybody, the first person to tell me about it was our guy, Jake Flanagan. Huge Illini fan. He's like, come in the office. I got some video to show you. And it was all about Will Riley. And he looks really good at times. And then at other times, you're like, oh, yeah, he's got a lot to work on and things like that. Do you see him getting picked pretty high, let's say in the middle of the draft? Or is it something where he's going to have to wait to hear his number called?
My guess has always been he'll kind of be bottom third of the first round, somewhere in the mid-20s. I haven't seen any mock drafts recently, so I don't know how accurate that is.
I know where you can see one.
A zillion of them. I got a tab pulled up right now.
Will the Go Got leads.
Also, Goat's got a fresh mock-up as of last week. So, earlier this season, NBA season, he was, early second in a lot of places. And then as Illini finished out their season and people started to pay more attention to Will Riley, now most everywhere he's mocked as you were just saying, sort of late first round.
Well, and since the draft is so focused on moldable talent and tools and frame, they seem to care far less about finished products. Or guys who've proved, other than Cooper Flagg, who's definitely proven it in college and is sort of a man-child. Will Riley was 17 at this time last year. He reclassed, skipped his senior year, came straight to college. So he had a lot of bulking up to do and still does. But, man, he is a scorer. When he gets going, it is hard to stop that kid. And I think he's getting taller. I think he may have been 6'7", 6'8" now.
If you're that young, absolutely realistic that you're still growing.
And so
I was still growing at 22.
Shout out.
So if he's already tall, 6'7" or 8. If he adds another inch or two to that frame, he's got. I'm not comparing him to Kevin Durant, but he's got that skinny, spindly.
I agree.
Shooter from anywhere kind of ability. So it'll be fascinating to see how he does.
So let me ask you about a former Illini player, Coleman Hawkins. Just your opinion on him and his game, and were you surprised that he kind of hit that transfer portal and left? Did you want to see him to continue to stay, to kind of have one more season with the team?
I mean, a player who offers that many different things, you always want to see stick around. I think he really wanted to explore the draft at the time a year ago.
Yeah.
And because of that, he couldn't give guarantees to the Illini and to the coaching staff about whether I'm staying or whether I'm going. And they don't have time to wait. In this era of the portal, like, all right, you're going to be here or you're not. But if you're not, if there's a chance that you're not, we're going to go recruit.
Right.
And they recruited Will Riley, who was one of the top people coming out of Canada, and various others. And the same thing has happened again this year. Like, you're going to go find people. And that means if you decide not to go to the NBA, you're going to decide to go to another school. So
That's true. That's right.
It's your job to say the names, not to pick the names on draft night, but just like where you are. I know we were talking about, hey, they got a lot of guards. Like, do you really want another one? Just from your perspective right now, as somebody who, watches this team, knows this team very well, we've had this conversation a lot. We talked about it in our, mailbag episode we're dropping tomorrow that we just recorded a minute ago. The best available versus draft for need debate.
Yeah.
Where do you fall on that with the Bulls specifically, with this draft class specifically? Like, if Jakucionis falls to 12 when he's projected to go top 10, maybe even close to top 5, he's a combo guard. Do we really need another one of those versus reaching on a prospect who maybe fills a more pressing roster construction need for a team that, like the Bulls, are kind of just like floating through the middle right now as far as relevance and competitiveness?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I want for any team, not just the Bulls, I think the answer is, what is your plan?
Mm-hmm.
What are you trying to accomplish?
Get back to us.
I know you have thoughts specifically.
Really, Matt? You have thoughts?
But it depends on how you're planning to build and or reconstruct, etc. If it's we want plug and play, then you should draft for need. You need to draft a 4 or a 5. Like, if your plan is to win this coming year, then you need to draft someone who you can put into one of the spots that is of need, depending on what happens with trades. Yeah. We'll see where those most glaring needs are, but I think most people, it's safe to assume, is the 4 and 5 spot.
Yes.
Especially the 5.
Yeah.
But if you're going about it a different way and just trying to acquire assets and then start moving pieces around, then you need to draft the best available because those assets are more valuable than a stretch at something else. So it will be interesting to see what the Bulls decide to do. Yeah. I would love to get an athletic, defensive-minded 5 who can rim protect, and I'm not breaking any new ground here.
No,
but
Malawach falling to 12.
Malawach would be all right. Yeah,
dream scenario.
I think he's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, and very tall. Yeah. He's very good at being tall. I mean that.
Yeah.
It's his jam. Is there outside of Malawach, like, another name that comes up is a guy like Derrick Queen?
Yeah.
That's another name Bulls fans are talking about a lot. What do you think about his game and, most importantly, his fit with this team?
So I'm predisposed to not like him because he played for Maryland, and they crushed Illinois multiple times this year.
Fair.
And that kid, like, I didn't even realize when they were playing at Illinois that he was a freshman.
Yeah.
And then I realized he was a freshman. I'm like, oh, man, this is a problem for somebody in the future.
Yeah.
So I like his game and what he's able to do, especially being so young. He's going to develop and take leaps and bounds here in the coming years. So I don't see it not being a fit. Yeah. Like, if he continues to develop like you think he can, and the tools that he showed in college, he can continue those in the NBA. But being a Terp, like, it's hard for the Illini guy in me we got waxed by them several times, and we always do.
So what's that going to be like, though, when you have to call his name? Will you be a little, Derrick Queen?
Nah, I'll get over it. I'll get over it.
All right.
I'll get over it.
So the other thing that people have been talking about is trading up, maybe, if you really want to go get that guy. There's already talk about the Sixers shopping the number 3 pick. We know that AK has said, like, I kind of like drafting a little bit later on. The one time in his tenure running this team that they had a high pick, it was Pat, and, well, we all know how that's worked out thus far. How do you feel about trading up, or maybe the idea of trading down? Because there's a lot of teams with multiple picks in the first round.
I feel like we did pretty well at 11 last year, and no one expected us to.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to keep that in mind. Like, I know everyone wants the number 1 pick or a top 5 pick.
Sure.
But if you look at the best players on the 30 NBA teams right now, how many of them were the number 1 or 2 pick? Not many. Not many. There's a wide range of results from those guys. And a lot of guys who are picked in the teens and beyond, Giannis, Jokic, beyond, like, who turned into superstars.
Right.
And I know you're more likely to get something that lands in the top 5, but giving up a ton of assets to think you've got something guaranteed,
right?
That's tough for me to get behind unless it's just a surefire, no doubt, like the Wemby or whatever.
Right.
You know, like I get that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I see a bunch of others who I think are that guy
Right.
in this draft other than Cooper Flag.
Right. I'm with you. If you're talking about trading up and giving up assets, future assets or current player assets to trade up in this class for a player not named Cooper Flag, I think that's crazy. Yeah. We got to knock out 2 more quick ads, and then we'll come back to wrap things up with our guy, Tim Sinclair. Speaking of that number 11 pick working out well, we want to get your thoughts on Matas' rookie year because you had an up-close view of it. Hit the like button now if you haven't done it yet. Do it for Katie. She's asking you. Do it for our guy, Tim Sinclair, for hanging out with us today. Hit the like. Today's show brought to you by that Hall of Fame app, y'all.
Yeah.
We have all been there before. Your parlay's 1 leg away. Maybe you needed Nick's money line for that parlay of yours to hit last night and your world came crumbling down. I'm sorry. If you're a Knicks fan, not that sorry. But then, then that happens. And
funny, Katie.
Boom, parlay dead. Sound familiar? Well, the Hall of Fame app is built to fix that. Started by 2 lifelong sports fans who also happen to be Ivy League grads.
Ooh.
Not so humble brag.
Tish talk.
Hall of Fame makes parlay research faster, smarter, and data-driven. This is not your buddy's group chat full of hot takes. It's a full analytics engine. The Hall of Fame app gives you access to advanced stats, historic data, and powerful tools to help you bet smarter. The app's built for everyday sports fans, so it's easy and intuitive to use. You'll get an idea on your parlay's chances to hit and identify weak legs so you can weed them out before you place them. Our pal Joey Spathis could have used this every time he wanted to put a Patrick Williams first bucket in his parlay.
Book it.
Weed out the weak links of your parlay before you book it. Whether it's MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL, even college sports, the app gives you beautiful charts, clean visuals, real insight, not hype. They believe anything the books know, you, as a bettor, should know too.
Yes.
Because parlays don't have to be dumb bets. With Hall of Fame, they aren't. With a 4.9 rating in the App Store and over 6,000 5-star reviews, it's safe to say Hall of Fame's already helped a lot of people bet smarter. And now, for a limited time only, our listeners not only get a free 7-day trial, they also get 50% off their first month when they use promo code CHGO at checkout.
Boom.
Just download the Hall of Fame app on iOS and or Android and visit halloffamebets.com. Again, promo code CHGO, and you're all set. Smarter parlays, y'all, in the Hall of Fame.
Ooh, well done. Also give it up for the man in the Hall of Fame. His name is Ray.
Oh, Hall of Fame
The Hall of
for
Fame
sure.
is savings. That's where he's at. Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake, ladies and gentlemen. They're kicking off summer with a Memorial Day sales event that is going on all month long.
Oh, man.
Come in today and shop the Memorial Day sales event and drive home with 0% financing for 60 months on new select Chevy models, or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for yourself. And as one of the top selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they'll be able to keep their prices competitive. So you know that you're going to get a great deal. Plus, Ray's Price Promise, y'all. It lets you shop confidently because a guarantee of no add-ons, no hidden fees, no gimmicks, no woozies, and definitely no wazzies means the price you see is the price you're going to pay. You don't have to worry about price changing, stressful negotiation, or any tricks ever. The people at Ray Chevrolet just want to help you get into the right vehicle at the right price. So go see it for yourself. Visit our partner at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And don't miss out on their Memorial Day sales event going on all month long for 0% financing on select Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com because they've been serving the community since 19 a 63. Together, let's drive.
Rolling along, CHGO Bulls, hanging out with our guy, Bulls PA announcer Tim Sinclair in studio. Tim, were you early on this season, anytime that sub horn sounded, looking over the Bulls bench to see if Matas was making his way up to the score? It's like some of us were impatiently waiting for the full Matas Buzelis experience this season. And we've also talked about, hey, maybe hindsight, he praised Billy Donovan for coaching him hard, for being strict with him. And we saw a flourish from Matas over the final 30 or so games as he went into that starting lineup. What was your perspective of watching Matas' rookie year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is hard to argue with results. So I think we're all pleased with where it landed.
Yeah.
So to say the method to get there was wrong is difficult. You could argue maybe these results would have been even better had they started earlier, and there's no way to know that. So arguing something that's unknown, I don't know that I can do. But I was happy every time he was on the court. I really enjoyed. You could almost watch him in real time start to figure things out.
Yeah.
I get the privilege of seeing him literally every single game for 45 minutes do shooting drills and dribbling drills and work with Peter Patton last year on that three-point shot. And he's an incredibly hard worker, and you could see those things starting to happen. And then, I called the dunk contest this year that Matas was in, and I obviously wanted him to do better than he did in that. But I think that was another part of confidence, of realizing not everything goes your way and it's okay. And you just come back tomorrow and do, not that he didn't already know that, but I do think there was a progression during the year that you could see him start to figure those things out. And several of my most favorite moments of the entire year, we were talking about them before the show, happened because of Matas. Yeah. Behind the back on Luka in LA, the dropping Aaron Gordon at the United Center, like although just, it's so fun to watch him, and he's such a nice guy and just seems at the moment unaffected by it all. He just is like happy to be there. I like him a lot, and I hope next year we don't have to worry about whether he's getting up off the end of the bench.
Right. You're calling Matas' name in those starting lineup
from Chicago
every night.
From Chicago, yes sir, yes sir. Obviously, y'all have to ask about Josh Giddey. So we talked about the shot, but just the evolution of his game. I wanted to know what you saw this season, and do you think what you saw in March can be carried over into the next season for a guy like Josh Giddey?
I'll answer the second part first.
Sure.
Yeah, I do think that can happen, and mainly because once it started, it didn't quit. Like he continued. Once he started to figure that out, once the guys around him started to figure that out, it seemed to be a very consistent thing.
True.
Just look at the record over the last 14 or 15 games of the season. They started to figure that out, and Josh Giddey was in large part running that ship. Yeah. At least it felt like it. I'll admit that I didn't know enough about him when the signing or the trade was made to really be like super excited. It's like, okay, I know he's a good young player, and let's see what happens. And I loved Caruso, and so that made that like, but I mean, triple doubles as often as they were happening and getting everybody involved. Like, it's hard to argue with those results, and I do enjoy watching him play. It doesn't feel like he should be able to do the things he does and get the places he does. But if you watch him, especially like on rebounds, like he is so smart about knowing where the ball is likely to go before the shot ever goes up, and to make that step before anyone else does, that somebody on the other team thinks they have a board, and all of a sudden Giddey's right there. Yes. So I'm a fan, and I hope we get to see a lot more of him. I mean, thankfully I'm not the one who has to pay him, but
that's the other part of it.
Yeah, you do have to pay him.
Honestly, despite all of my skepticisms and criticisms, I'm admittedly not a huge Giddey committee member. What? The one part of his game that I've always vocally appreciated and respected is his work on the glass. Like he is such a gifted rebounder.
I've said a million times, it's his superpower. It's what he does.
And now it seems he's a pretty good shooter.
That's the part when Dave asked you, like, so that March we saw, right?
I mean, again, we referenced it earlier with a shot where I've seen him bring his hand to the ball.
Yeah.
He does that on free throws too, very specifically. I watched hours of him working with Peter Patton on that, just like Io used to, and just like Matas did all last year.
And
maybe it doesn't last.
And it's weird because it doesn't look like his form physically has changed to the naked eye.
Right.
He still has kind of like a two-hand push shot look. He's got the weird like knees buckling in when he plants to set his feet to shoot. Yeah. And it doesn't look like a pretty shot that would go in.
Nope.
But then he went from being a not great three-point shooter through the first 3 years of his career in OKC to this season, like
winning games with it.
I'll tell you what, I hope this is no like proprietary information. I don't think it is, but all of the guys that, and I know he's not with the team anymore, that Peter worked with, wide base.
Yeah.
Every time they were working on shoulder width feet.
Yeah.
So your legs are always in the exact same spot and you're getting the exact same lift because legs tire out less quickly than arms. And that's, I think, why Giddey is a little bit bow-legged like that. Is like his knees are still together, but you got to get the feet wide. And apparently, at least for the last third of the season, it worked pretty well. So we'll see. Yeah,
we'll see. What player's growth kind of surprised you the most, or pleasantly surprised you the most?
That's a great question.
Yeah, because it was several of them.
I mean, I would have to put Matas on the list of that. Like I was not super familiar with him other than he was highly touted before the draft. But seeing sort of what he has become and what he can continue to become, I've been really impressed with. Giddey would be on that list just because I think my expectations were lowish.
Yeah.
When he showed up. And I'd love to see.
Dalen Terry propaganda has got to get in here somehow.
Come on, maybe that 3-point shot is better.
I think I instead will go with. I'd love to see Io's progression too. Again,
true.
It's just because he's my guy, and like I've been around him for so long. Every
lethal
year,
in that transition game, man.
He is
absolutely
so fast.
lethal.
I literally every time he gets the ball in transition, I go meep. not with the mic on, obviously, but ideally. But he just has that sort of roadrunner, I'm out of here, kind of thing.
So, speaking of abundance of guards, what did you make of that very surprising, couple days before the trade deadline announcement of like, hey guys, Lonzo Ball, he's still here. We're going to keep him here. It was, I'm sure, very cool from your perspective to see him actually come back on the court and play. Yeah. Another great underrated moment this season, seeing Lonzo Ball out there.
Absolutely. And so you're thrilled for him, and like the team has paid him $60 million to rehab essentially over those 2 years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So that would, and I'm a heart guy. Like I would be a terrible GM. I would be a terrible executive because I just don't have it in me to make the business decisions.
It's okay, Tim. Bar's low here in Chicago. Regardless of the sport, bar's low.
I still don't think I'm going to get hired. So my heart was really happy. Like, we're like, hey, you did all this work. Yeah. We want to pay you off for all that work by giving you a deal. But there are a lot of guards. And so for his sake, I just hope that with that contract, it means playing time.
Yeah.
Like I think he would probably prefer, hey, if it's not going to work, if I'm not going to play, I'd rather be making some money elsewhere where I can play.
True.
So that's not an indictment on anybody other than to say, I hope that because they made the signing that he gets a chance to play.
All right, let me ask you this, man. This is the question I've been wanting to ask you. So, obviously, we laughed about this earlier. About Adam Amin having his, phrase, taking his 3-point shot. Adam Amin, saying, Adam Amin. So we're trying to get him to say it, during the show. Is it possible that, let's say, Matas Buzelis,
should I say no now, or should I wait for you to ask the question?
You say he hits the 3. Let's just say he hits it. That, you let out Adam Amin.
If I yell Adam Amin,
that you let out at Adam Amin when Matas or someone hits a 3. Is it possible we can get you to do that?
I would say the only thing weirder than a grown man yelling out his own name in the course of a broadcast would be a grown man yelling out a different grown man's name who was no part of the play randomly.
Whose job description also includes the words broadcast.
Yes. So I feel like I'd be more likely to yell my own name, but that's not happening either. So
Tim Sinclair. Okay.
yeah, that doesn't roll off the tongue as well anyway. So.
Just think about it.
I'll stick to yelling out other grown men's names.
Okay, all right.
Who are actually playing the game.
All right, keep your job.
Do you ever, quick two-parter before we get out of here, two-parter. Do you ever wish that you could throw nicknames into PA announcer calls of when players make buckets? Because Stacy has a field day with all of his nicknames. Also, what do you think of the Boozivert nickname? Do you think we need to keep workshopping this? Some Bulls fans like it, some aren't sold.
Not so.
Not sold.
To answer the first question, I mean, it would be fun. I'm a creative person. I like to have fun. I like to be off the cuff. So in that respect, yes. But in my job, that's not necessarily a thing.
Right.
And I do enjoy the challenge of trying to say a guy's name in a way that's unique without changing the name.
Right. You're adding context, gravity, stakes.
Right. The cadence
depending on the
of
situation with just saying the same name.
Right. DeMar
That you've said
DeRozan was an
1,000,000 times.
example.
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan came out just like randomly.
Yeah.
And then it stuck.
Yeah.
Io DeSumo, same thing. He was just Io DeSumo at Illinois until he hit a big shot. And then it was and then that stuck.
Yeah.
So I like
great.
that challenge and that people mimic those things back to me.
Right.
And that anybody, it's just a different thing. And Stacy's one of the best in the world at it.
Oh man.
But I try to do the same thing in my own way with
Yeah.
what my job allows. So
And you do it well. sir.
Boozivert or keep workshopping?
I'll leave that to Stacy. I mean, I'm not going to do it,
Right. Yeah.
but I feel like if anybody can get away with it, it's Stacy King.
Stacey.
So
I like Block Zealous, man. All the
Block
blocks he
Zealous?
had his rookie year.
sure, he had quite a few. Sure.
But it's, we can keep workshopping.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll keep thinking.
That's going to do it for those of you watching on our various streaming services. Thanks for tuning in. If you want that bonus coverage, just head to allchgo.com. Before we get out of here, Katie, you put up a poll. Katie put up a poll at the beginning of the show in the chat that was Tim Sinclair related. What was the poll and what were the results?
Oh,
The
God.
poll was
I didn't even see this. What happened?
the poll was what should we ask Tim Sinclair to rig for us, since we were talking about rigging the draft lottery.
Yep.
Oh,
Okay,
I
get
see. All right.
I'm going to be honest, I was disappointed in the results. And maybe I can take the blame for that because I put some uncreative choices in here.
Okay.
The winner, by a long shot, was the 2026 draft lottery.
That is what I voted for.
Okay.
Obviously.
55% of the vote. That's crazy. Second place was the real lottery. I would have picked the real lottery.
I mean,
Why don't
Are
we
you
all want
kidding
money?
me? I'm not homeless. I need the Bulls to get the number one pick next year.
All right. Keep bragging.
I'm sorry.
He
Unhoused.
says bragging. She said he's bragging.
The
That's
third
right.
option was this YouTube poll. Why would you pick that? 12% of you. What are you doing?
Ridiculous option.
And the last one, 10% of the vote, the Super Bowl coin flip. I guess we would have to specify the Bears
Bears
being
gotta
in the
get there.
Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
something
yeah.
about
Or, I
Bears.
mean, or
Bears.
maybe it's just people who bet on what that's going to be.
Right. There
you
That's
go.
a prop bet, right?
Is that like on your career bucket list? Is maybe someday if the Bears actually finally build a new stadium that is capable of hosting a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
is doing PA for the Super Bowl?
I would love to. Alan Roach has done 15 of them, I think, and will probably until they drag him out of there kicking and screaming. So yes, I would love to do Super Bowl. The Olympics coming up, kind of on the list.
Yeah.
And,
LA in 28, right?
yep, World Cup would be another one.
Oh,
so
awesome.
I may have some ins with
Yeah.
a few of those things.
Okay.
So we'll see,
You've gotten
but-
to do some of those Soldier Field games where they bring some of the Euro soccer stars
Yeah,
over here,
quite
right?
a
To
few
do
of
like
them.
those crossover MLS games.
This year they've got a Premier League summer series that's Manchester United and West Ham and a few others. They're playing 2 games each in 3 cities,
Okay.
and I get to do all 3 cities. So I'll be in
heck
New
yeah.
York, and I'll be in Atlanta, and I'll be here in Chicago doing all those. So.
What are you, one of 4 professional sport PA announcers that exist in this country? You do all of these jobs.
No,
It's
he's
crazy.
just that great.
Well, yeah.
That's the difference.
I work 1099 to 5. I got to have as many as I can to make it all work.
Well, you do it very well,
Yes, you do,
regardless
sir.
of the
Appreciate
sport
it.
and the venue, and of course, Bulls Nation. loves you being their in-house guy for those moments at the Madhouse.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you anytime you come through, man. Always great to see you.
You as well.
Enjoy
anytime.
this little quiet time between
I
Bulls
will.
and Bears.
I will.
And, if I head down to Soldier for a Fire game at some point this summer, I'll hit you up.
Come say hello.
I'm glad you guys had a lovely time in London together. Not bitter about it at all.
We did.
We really did.
I mean, apparently Dave had a better one than I did, from what I hear. But
Big Dave got the VIP treatment that you gave him.
Yeah, I mean,
That's real.
I had no
Shout out
idea.
Tim Sinclair. I had some tea with my man too. We hung
There you
out on
go.
that. Yeah.
Tim J. Sinclair on the Twitter machine. Yeah?
Correct, yeah.
Follow him and check out all of his great work. Chicago Bulls, Chicago Bears, Chicago Fire, Union. Check out some Ultimate Frizz and all the great work. NBA All-Star Weekend as well. NBA 2K. If you hear that voice when you're playing 2K, that's this dude.
DeMar DeRozan.
Big Dave is about BNWL Sports. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Our queen of the controls is the one and only Katie Duffy. Appreciate you as always. Appreciate you, Bulls Nation, for tuning in. Hit the like button on your way out if you haven't done it yet. Make sure you subscribe to that CHGO Sports YouTube channel and keep it locked right here for the rest of the day. Still plenty more shows and content coming your way. And don't forget, we've got a mini pod dropping for y'all on Sunday right here as well.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend.
Love y'all.
Mailbag tomorrow. See you, Red. Be good.
Love your families. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.